Hello and welcome to this episode of the Gene Keys Exploration. My name is Shelly Szigli and I am a Gene Keys guide. I'm excited to be sharing with you an exploration of each of the gene keys, starting from the first gene key, moving our way all the way through to the 64th gene key. Disclaimer, these episodes are really just about sitting with the energy of the gene keys and literally, at times, reading from Richard Rudd's book. The gene keys are so vast and complex, and as a guide, I don't remember much of the information, so we're going to be exploring these gene keys together. You can find my work at www.genekeyrecordkeeper.com. And other than that, I just hope you enjoy the show and enjoy this exploration. Please feel free to share it, leave us a review, and tell us how this exploration was for you. I am coming on today in a series of daily explorations through the gene keys. And today we are on the 9th gene key, and we are going to go on a journey together, you and I, on a journey through essentially this 9th gene key. Now, what's very exciting about this particular journey is that this gene key happens to be in my hologenetic profile. So for those of you who do not know what a hologenetic profile is, please visit the Gene Keys website, www.genekeys.com, and you can make your free hologenetic profile there to learn and see what I'm talking about. So the 9th gene key is the shadow of inertia, the gift of determination, and the Siddhi of invincibility. Now, before I dig into this is my disclaimer. I am not an expert on the gene keys. I am a gene key guide, which means that I support and work with people to understand their own hologenetic profile, how to read it, how to work with it, how to expand their natural gifts, abilities, and life circumstances with their information. So my job as a guide is to empower you. I'm a guide. I'm not your teacher. I'm not your healer in this capacity. I am merely just guiding you through this process as a fellow voyager of the gene key system. So Richard Rudd is the creator of the gene keys, and he's done a very good job at creating an open system. So when you go through the Golden Path journey and you listen to a lot of Richard's work, he doesn't particularly like systems or boxes or rules or any of those types of things. So he's created this beautiful system where people like myself can share it and can share it with, our own twist, I suppose, and not twist as in taking the information and twisting it, but our own flavor. And for me, that's really important because I have the 16th gene key of life's work, which is versatility, is the gift. And I love diversity. If there is something that is going to captivate me enough to learn and share and even teach or create with, it has to be very diverse and profound. And the gene keys are just that. So I am not an expert. I am going through this journey just as you are and reading directly out of the book in some cases. So I am going to just move my finger and I'm going to stop right here. The 9th shadow is about where you place that focus, and primarily through your daily activity rather than your mind. There is something very magical about this 9th gene key, as we shall see. It holds one of the greatest of all secrets: how to stop your mind from undermining your natural destiny. An image representing both the 9th shadow and the 9th gift is of a pathway made of individual stepping stones. At the frequency of the 9th shadow, the stepping stones go in a circle, so that as you look down at each step, you fail to realize that you are simply following the same old footprints, and your energy is going nowhere. This is the state of consciousness of the majority of human beings on our planet. At the gift level, however, the stepping stones go off into the distance and over the horizon. You do not know where they are going, but it doesn't matter. You know they are leading you forward. This makes every step you take all important as well as an adventure. This 9th gene key is about finding the right activity in your daily life. Every step must lead you in the direction of your dream, whatever that may be. Including within this path are many, many small acts we take on the mundane plane: eating, washing, shopping, cooking, etc. Because if all the steps, even the mundane daily chores, lead you in the direction of your dream, it is impossible for them to be unfulfilling. If your activity leaves you cold or bored, it does not necessarily mean it is the wrong activity. It probably means that you have lost contact with your greatest dream. You've allowed the small to tame you. Every time you allow life to leave you bored or indifferent, or you feel this lack of energy and inertia, it is up to you and you alone to reconnect with your dream. Basically, when we're tapped in and we're tapped into our fullness, every activity that we partake in brings us joy, brings us connection, brings us expansion, because we know and we understand that that little thing is making a move bigger than we can imagine towards pushing us, or I guess elevating us towards our dreams and desires. Back to the book. Without a sense of higher purpose, human beings move in circles, creating energy fields that prevent abundance. Even worse, the inertia of the 9th shadow feeds off the victim mind, which also goes round and round in its patterns of either blaming or worrying. In our hearts, all human beings are natural rebels. We are wild creatures. We are not here on earth to have our dreams tamed, clipped, or domesticated. We are here to make magic happen, and we cannot do that unless our every waking moment is directed and focused towards a single overreaching vision or ideal. Wow, this is true. The 9th shadow sucks all the hope and enthusiasm out of you when you do not see immediate results and improvement in your situation. It takes you away from the focus and fulfillment of the moment and disturbs your concentration and patience. One of the modern expressions of this 9th shadow is our addiction to trivia, details and trappings extraneous and unnecessary to our lives. Unless it is either beautiful or practical, it can safely be classified as trivia. The 9th shadow draws your energy away from that which truly matters to you, which is beauty. Wow. So, the repressive nature of this 9th shadow is reluctant. There is an inner reluctance in the repressed side of the 9th shadow. It manifests as our seeming inability to do anything about our situation, despite the fact that we understand it and even see our way out. The reluctance to move out of one's patterns is not a conscious choice, but an inner dynamic where all of one's life remains frozen. Life force remains frozen. Oh boy, do I resonate with this big time. And again, it's in my profile, so, that probably has something to do with it. This reluctance is essentially a paralysis of our will, brought about by following familiar, repetitive patterns that do not serve us. To break out of our inner reluctance is to leave our safety zone and move directly into our fears. It can be frustrating to onlookers that these people are unable to break their patterns, but it is just as frustrating for those in the grip of such deep-seated fear. Ultimately, it comes down to the power of the human will to either break through or fall into a continual and miserable decline. So, I've looked very deeply into this shadow, and I can connect to both the reluctant and the next one, which is the diverted. For me, what I've learned in this journey is that repetitive cycle comes from not having faith that I was held, that I was taken care of, that I was provided for. It had to do with childhood, losing trust in the people around me. And not in a physical sense. My physical needs were met all the time, above and beyond. But my emotional needs, my mental needs, those, and even spiritual needs weren't there. So the cycle of being in this repetitive, doing the same steps over and over and ending up in the same space really had a lot to do with the lack of faith that I was held. So I'm not sure if you resonate with that at all, but in order to transcend that, and this is my own personal experience, I had to first realize that the control that I thought I had, I actually don't have. And that for me to experience the fullness of life, that I have to surrender this control and this false sense of control and actually listen to what I'm being guided towards and called to. So the reactive nature is diverted. The reactive nature of the ninth shadow involves a totally different kind of inertia. These people can be highly restless and fidgety, as though nothing inside them can sit still. Their tactic is diversion, and they unconsciously seek out stimulus to draw some of their energy and fury out of their body. Naturally, such people cannot sustain this escapist pattern indefinitely, and it takes an enormous toll on their health and often their finances. These people cannot find a fixed pattern in life at all. If they were to do so, all their rage would explode out of them. This makes it impossible for them to maintain serious commitments for any length of time. Although their lives are not inert in the strict sense of the word, they are inert in terms of fulfillment because they simply never rest or relax. Yes, I definitely resonate with this one. Having so many children, having, the responsibility, having the distractions for a long time kept me from being present with myself and what was really there and what I really desired, what I really wanted, what I really needed and required. I simply distracted myself so I didn't have to look or address that. And one of the things that I found when I began to transcend this pattern and begin to slow down and relax and look at what was happening for me is I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like what my true intuition was telling me, because I would get very clear guidance on what was occurring in my world and what I needed to do to change my life and to change my world. And that guidance didn't feel good and my mind didn't want it. I liked being, quote unquote, comfortable in a lot of ways. And this slowing down and becoming present, I had to really embody some massive realizations and take massive action that when I was diverted and even reluctant, I would have never taken. So there's reasons why we do these things and we fall into these shadows, because they feel like protection, but they're really avoidance, right? And again, this is in my chart. This is in my spot of my evolution. So it is part of my path of challenge. So this is something that I deal with all the time. In the golden path, between the life's work and the evolution is your pathway of challenge. And this is a challenge that we face our entire lives. So depending on what your gene key is and the line of that gene key is, will determine what you keep facing, what obstacles keep coming up. And that will continue to come up until you finally master them. And believe you me, I am not here today to say, oh my God, I finally mastered this, because I'm very aware that we have holes and we can miss things, and patterns are sneaky and the mind is sneaky. So, I don't have it as prevalent in my life at this point as I did. However, I'm very aware that this is a continuous thing that I deal with and experience. So to begin your golden path journey, if this is something that you desire to do, I'm going to put my affiliate link in the comments of this episode so that when you click on that link, it'll take you to my specific affiliate link. If you sign up for the Golden Path workshop course, online course, it gives me a commission, which is beautiful and supports me on my journey to be able to do things such as this. So I absolutely recommend going on the Golden Path journey, and the activation sequence is the space to start. It is the place to start, and this is where you too will learn about your life's work and evolution and the pathway of challenge. So back to the Gene Key. The 9th gift, determination. Every intentional act is a magical act. Yes, Richard. So again, because this is in a very specific placement for me, when I'm reading these words to you and I'm going through this, I have deep resonance through my entire body. It's like my voice is radiating because there is a deep familiarity here and resonance, which you'll find as you journey through the Gene Keys as well. The 9th gift fuels all determination. The gift of determination is built upon the rock of the very smallest acts. The controversial English magician Aleister Crowley once stated a deep truth of great relevance to this gift. Every intentional act is a magical act. Yes, Aleister Crowley is controversial. Personally, in my opinion, I think he was evil as heck. But that's my own opinion, and I try to stay away from that. But I had to throw that in there because whenever I read a quote from him, I get a shudder through my body. Even though it's true and even though it's brilliant, I get a shudder. Anyways, even the smallest action has a spin-off effect that travels out into the universe. Actions made out of resentment or fear reinforce the shadow frequency, both in the world and in the individual. Indifference, acts, where are we? Oh boy. Okay. Sorry, guys. Indifferent acts reinforce indifference, whereas acts done in joy or service create more joy. Wherever we look into the matrix of this 9th Gene Key, it keeps pointing to the same truth, that a person without an ideal burning inside of them is essentially destined to remain a follower of the crowd. However, it is important to distinguish that this is not a gift of dreaming, but of sustained activity and work towards a single powerful goal. This is what I see my work as. This is what I see the last, 10 to 12 years is propelling towards the same goal. Although my expression of the goal has shifted over the years, it's the same thing. It's the same pull. It's the same feeling and frequency that pulls me to do the work that I do. The power of the 9th gift is the power of repetition. Absolutely. This gift creates a groove, and once that groove is dug, all energy in your life will tend to follow the same pattern. This explains why the gift of determination is so powerful. It also explains why it is so hard to escape the inertia of the 9th shadow at its lower frequency. Absolutely. When you break out of the lower frequency and connect with your vision or ideal as a feeling and a knowing deep inside, you have truly begun the journey of 1,000 steps. Every single step you take from the moment on, which means all acts, no matter how inconsequential they may seem, lead in the direction of that core vision. As you continue in the direction of your heart, you will begin to carve for yourself a powerful groove that becomes easier and easier to follow, and is what the world knows as determination. This changes the whole shape of your life, as finally you will begin to feel the inner strength that comes from following your life purpose. Now, this gift of determination can only be felt and embodied when we break out of the inertia, when we break out of the divergence, when we break out of the repetitive cycles and patterns. So it's very important to know the power of breaking a pattern, breaking a cycle, right? Stepping outside of a pattern, of a cycle, is more potent than you can imagine. And why most people are stuck in this shadow frequency is they're not willing to step outside of the pattern of the cycle. They actually are so comfortable in the dysfunctional cycle that there's no way that they would ever remove themselves from that cycle. So it's important to know that. And for myself, moving out of the divergence and the reluctance and, getting out of that really meant leaving some comfortable, soothing things behind. And this isn't just for me, this is for all of us. If a pattern is taking us in circles and we are not growing, we are not moving upwards and beyond, we have to, if we desire to, we don't have to do anything. We can stay in that merry-go-round. Plenty of people will stay living there and will be quite content living there. But if you're listening to this, it is likely you desire to move outside of that. If you're attracted to the gene keys at all, it is likely that you are looking for transcendence. You are looking for support and guidance to do that. So, yeah. The ninth gift has an important connection to the power of magnetism. All of life is magnetic. And the gift employs the use of magnetism through aligning itself with true north, the inner direction and rhythm sought by the universe as a whole. This is the groove we are speaking of. It is about moving down the force lines of the universal energy grid instead of moving across or against them. It is about moving down the force lines of the universal energy grid instead of moving across or against them. Determination in this sense reveals another meaning. Your true course of life is always predetermined, and thus all you have to do is find it and follow it. As was mentioned at the shadow frequency, one of the most magical aspects of this ninth gift is the effect it has on your mind. Once you have centered yourself in the groove, and your course begins to feel more and more certain, your mind finally stops undermining you. The naturally flowing currents within your body begin to come into universal harmony. And as they do so, your brainwave cycle slows down, and you enter a higher consciousness field. It is one of the paradoxes of the gene keys that the higher your spiritual frequency rises, the lower your brainwave frequency falls. Yeah, because your nervous system relaxes. Your body relaxes. You feel safe in your body. And then your body can let go and it can stop working overtime. Your brain can stop working overtime. And your body can be a magical place to be in and sit in. And this is something I want to share with you because it's been in the recent months that I've really been able to tap into this. The integrating of the nervous system to feel the power of my body and to feel present in my body and to feel my body, the magical workings of my body. And thus the results have been this deep harmony. It's like, a harmonic chorus, like a symphony working together so beautifully. The weight has left, any skin things that I had are gone. And this is the beautiful thing when we begin to transcend our frequency from the shadow living into that higher aspects, our body. Oh man, the body. So the body is always a tell. It's a clear tell of what's happening inside. If the body is out of whack, there is things inside the energetics, the brain, that are not aligned, that are not working as one probably thinks they are. So that's not something to get in your head about, but that's to be aware. The body is our physical representation of what's happening inside of us. So, moving on, the ninth Siddhi, Invincibility, inner space, and the final frontier. Dun, dun, dun. The world around us is filled with examples of the power that comes from taming the small. When humanity managed to tame the power of the atom, the basic magnetic unit of force of matter, we unlocked its tremendous energy and demonstrated a great universal law. The smaller something becomes, the more condensed is the universal energy within it. This law can be applied to your individual life as we learn through the 9th gift. There is one final surprise lying in wait for us within the 9th gene key, and it is found in its ultimate expression as the Siddhi of Invincibility. The 9th Siddhi is about the power of the infinitesimal, the infinitely small. The infinitesimal is also the paradoxal. If one goes on dividing a piece of string in half, one could theoretically go on forever. Thus, the infinitesimal becomes the boundless, and inner space leads to outer space. At the highest level of consciousness, levels themselves disappear. Outer space becomes inner space. Time becomes infinite, yet absolutely present, and all boundaries are absorbed by consciousness itself. Now, the moment something loses all boundaries, it becomes two contrary things. It becomes simultaneously defenseless, and invincible. Invincibility can therefore be defined as merging your individual awareness back into the consciousness of the universe. To be invincible is to surrender to all possible foes by dissolving your entire reality into them. Wow. To be invincible is to also be invisible, and vice versa. Invincibility means to dissolve into the will of the universe, and it is a Siddhi that has been defied in many different cultures. In Christianity, for example, the Archangel Michael holds the archetype of invincibility. The only force in the universe that is truly invincible is love. Love knows only giving, so it creates a vacuum which in turn continually floods with more love. It is important to fight against such a force since it renders all other energies defunct by returning them to their source. When a human being attains this Siddhi, their life becomes an expression of the invincible power of such love. These people have discovered that the entire universe exists in microcosmic form within the human body, and they may become teachers of this truth. In this respect, they can be masters of techniques wherein the macrocosm can be mapped into the microcosmic. Okay, am I still recording, guys? I had a call come on here. I just want to make sure that it is still recording. Yes, it's still recording. Okay, we'll just keep going here. It is fascinating to see how the higher programming matrix within the DNA is coded to awaken specific forces within us at specific times in our evolution. The 9th Siddhi belongs to a family of Siddhis that are interlocked through the human genetic structure by the amino acid known as threonine. Okay, so I'm going to close this up. I'm not going to go into that because that is like a few paragraphs here. But I'm going to close on this. What the 9th Siddhi teaches us today is that every act you make is of vast importance to the whole of evolution. If your life takes on a cosmic focus, then life itself will intensely move within you, moving you naturally into a far more cooperative pattern with your environment and with others. Every intentional act is a magical act, setting in motion either a force of creativity or a force of decay. Wherever you stand at the beginning of a journey, it is the first step that sets the tone for the entire journey, and the next few steps that begin to create the groove. After even a relatively few first steps, it becomes very difficult to change your direction, since that involves wrenching yourself out of your existing groove and creating a new one. Therefore, whenever you reach a natural beginning of a new cycle, a new relationship, a new home, even a new year, you would do well to remember this truth. Those first few steps are critical to the evolution in this time ahead. You must capture the energy of your dream and hold on to it deep inside, because it is that dream that will act as the lens to focus the power of magic and manifestation in your life. Wow. Beautiful. So that is the 9th gene key. The shadow of inertia, the gift of determination, and the Siddhi of invincibility. Again, I'm usually floored by these gene keys, and yet again, I'm floored by this gene key. I want to close this up by encouraging you all to go to the Gene Keys website, www.genekeys.com. Listen to the introduction video by Richard. Read, make your own free hologenetic profile, and just, feel into the space. It really is a beautiful space to discover more about yourself, and not from a place of checking off all these boxes, but from a place of sitting with, being with, as Richard calls it, contemplation, of wonder. It is a beautiful journey. And if you feel called to taking that golden path journey, which is the first sequence on the golden path, I'll have the link that you can click on, the link for my affiliate link to register for the course. And I also will put the link for the Gene Key Record Keeper. This is something that I created. It is a workbook, a tool to accompany you on your golden path journey. It has no affiliation to the Gene Keys other than I quote it all the time. But it is a space to journal in and record your Gene Keys and the different information on them. I am a sucker for a keepsake book that has important information that is valuable to go back to. And that is what I created with that book. So I'll also have the link to that. It's available on Amazon. And I'm going to close it up. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for Gene Key number 10 when I release that. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you may be, and much love to you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the Gene Keys Exploration. If you would like to purchase the Gene Key Record Keeper, please go to www.genekeyrecordkeeper.com, or you can go to Amazon and search Gene Key Record Keeper, and you can purchase your very own copy of a sacred companion tool as you learn, track, and move through your gene keys. Have the most beautiful day, and we'll look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Bye-bye.